Welcome to another tutorial. We're going to continue working on project 4, starting on page 172. And in this section, it's going to show you how to nest elements, div tags, and sections, and things of that nature. I've talked about how many different ways that you can do the very same task. And I don't always do them the same way. I've told you that I'm very preferential to doing a lot of things in code view, but I'm very comfortable with that. I don't expect you to be at this time, but you may be. So, however, just do it the way you want to do it and make your life easier. One thing I suggest that you always do, and you'll see that more, is make sure that when you have something other than a header and you have a div here, make sure you tag the div with something a little bit more descriptive. You'll understand why when we start adding some sections and you have things that are side by side and it tells you to click on this one and it's not very easily recognized if they both say content for new div tag goes here. So you'll see that very shortly. So I'm on page 172, and the first thing it's telling me to do is make sure we're in the page source, and it wants us to do the HTML insert panel and drag it into the document window, which is very, very easy. So this is the page source over here. Let's just do code. And you'll see exactly what we have so far. We have a header. We have a div ID that says page content. Now here, what I'm talking about, it says content for new div. Well, if you have 3 or 4 divs, which you're going to have, that have IDs that are different, then you're not going to know which is which. So I would suggest that you do in here, put in page content. That will make it so much easier for you to do over there. Okay, so we're good over here, and we're going to go back into live view. And now we have it, something that's there, very easy, new div, page content. If we add another div and we tag that with the ID, it makes it so much easier. You will see that. The book doesn't tell you this. However, I'm telling you because I think it'd be so much easier for it. So we have the insert panel open, and we're going to drag the new document window when a blue border outlines the border element over there. So that's very easy to do. We're going to go on to insert, and we're going to go, and we want the navigation as soon as I find it, which is right here. Okay, then it wants us to drag onto the document window when a blue border outlines the header element. Release it. So let's do that. Here's the header element. It's blue border. What it's going to do there is going to nest it. Remember that we did things with a green line and that placed it underneath it, or you can place it above it if you like. So let's go into code view. And this is what you have here. You have the header and the ending of the header. Then you have inside of the header, you have content for new tag. Header goes over there. So that will nest it. So you have a thing. Think of it as a closet that's inside a room. So technically you have a room inside of a room. Number 3 tells you to review the page source code, which we just did. Then we're going to click on the select button in the HTML insert panel and drag the document window. When the mouse is not over the existing elements, we're going to release it. What that'll do is create the div on the very top. Now, you would think it would do it on the bottom, but it actually does it on the top. So we're going to find a section. And remember, section is nothing more than a fancy name for div, such as header, navigation, main, aside, article, and footer. They just have specific purposes. So I'm going to click on this here. I'm going to drag it down here, and boom. So it puts it on the very top. Let's go up here to code, and as you can see, it put it on the very top over here. That takes care of number 4. Number 5 says to add the class. Now, one of the advantages of adding an ID inside of Live View by clicking on this here, it lets us add the ID and create a tag inside of the designer. You'll see that very shortly in here. So I'm on number 5. I'm clicking the number sign, and it's going to give a listing of all the IDs that we have inside there. So we're going to find main copy, and boom. Now, all of a sudden, main copy CSS is applied. So if you go into the main styles over here, you're going to see the main copy width 500 and the min height is 200. So automatically that gets applied. Now we're going to do number 7. We're going to open up the DOM window. And here's the DOM window. This is an outline of what your actual tags look like, starting with the body, the section, the header. If you click on the arrow by the header, notice that the nav is located within there. So you can move sections around, divs around, anything that you want strictly in there, just like I showed you how to do in the CSS panel. So what we're going to do is drag the section main copy element onto the div page content element. So I'm just going to take this here, drag it right on top of it. Notice there's no blue yet. Now there's green, and now we have it here. Click it on top, and boom. Notice that it put it right inside of the div page content. That was number 8. We're going to click the second nested section element in the panel, and we're going to click over here. And then it's giving us an option to choose insert before or after. So we want to insert after. Boom. I'm going to put this on pause because I'm getting a whole bunch of emails. So I will be back in a minute. Okay, I am back. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I deleted the div, so I'm clicking on DOM over here, and we were on section. We're clicking the plus. Now, this is another way to insert a div tag or something other than a div tag. So we want to insert after, and it automatically says div. We don't want to do that. We're going to type in section. So we type in SCC, and it fills it in for us automatically. So that's number 11, and we're going to hit the enter key twice. Once, boom. And that takes care of that, followed by the new one in here. So we're going to double click to the right of the section tag in the panel in the resulting, and we're going to do this. So we're going to double click over here. And now that allows us to type in something. So we're going to put in the number sign, and it finds anything that matches the number sign that has not already been used, which is sidebar. So now we have the sidebar. Now you can see that we have different things in here. Insert new section, insert new section here. So now we kind of have a little dilemma. Which is which if it tells us to click on something? So I'm going to go back into code view. And this says content sidebar. So let's just make new section sidebar here. Book again does not tell you to do that, but this makes things a little bit easier, a little side trick, and this will be main copy. Let's go back into live, And now you can see we know this is the main copy and this is the sidebar. So I just finished number 13. And number 14, in code view, select and delete the placeholder for the content page content div. Okay, so we're going to do that in, which is here. We're going to go in code view, which is my preferred way of deleting things. And we're going to get rid of content for new div page content goes here. Sometimes I leave it in till I'm done with putting everything in a section. Other times I take it out. So I'm going to delete it here because the book says to do it. And book tells us to save everything. That is number 15. Now we're going to start putting in some float elements. I did talk about it briefly in one of our other sessions. A float element allows you to stack items left to right or right to left, however way you want to do it. If you have two divs, one right after the other, then they're going to be on the next line. If you use a float, then you can put them left to right so they're side by side. You're going to use that for your columns. So if you want to have 2 columns or 3 columns, you're going to need to do a float left. There are more than one ways to do it, but that's the easiest way. So we have design open and we want to be in design view. So we'll go to design view. And here's a representation of what we have. You can see it's pretty similar to what I have. Going to click the current button of the CSS. So right now all shows everything that we have, and current shows current what we have in there. We have main copy selected over there. If I click on something else, it will change to whatever I click on. So here it wants us to click on the edge of the nav element so you can see it should automatically change. It makes it very easy to see what the nav element is because we have new nav here. So we're going to click on the edge here, or you can click here to select it. Either way is fine. I kind of like clicking down here, but the book does tell us to do that. And you can see a representation of the box model here where we do have some padding in here. And that's the 10. And you can see that little gray area here tells us we have padding in a visual. So number 5 says we're going to add the property in there. So we're going to just type. Now, this is a way to add something without having to scroll down here. So we need to click Show Set, and then we're going to add a property. Then we're going to type in FLO, and that gives us float. Then our options are right over here. And we're going to do a secondary menu over here. And it wants us to, I'm looking to see what it wants us to do. So I'm not seeing where it wants us to put it, but I know it's a float right. We can always change it later, so I'm going to choose float right in there. That was number 6. It may be in the book right in front of me, but boom. All right. So, oh, there we go. Click right. Of course, I'm on page 6 and it's on page 7. So that takes care of that, and you can see how it moved it all the way over. So we're going to repeat the process. Now, by the way, I did actually do this before, but since I'm doing it again, I'm obviously not memorizing everything. So you can see how sometimes even I get confused. So the moral to this story is if you have an issue, don't feel bad because I have issues too. But the good thing is it's very easy to fix. So number 8 says we're going to repeat the process for the next element to find float values for main copy and sidebar. So now you can see main copy. Whoa, now we know where main copy is. So we just click on main copy, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Going to click on new selector, and actually I don't want a new selector, want a new property. And we'll do the same thing. We'll do float, and it wants us to do float left. That takes care of that. And then we want the sidebar to be float right. So I'll just click here in the sidebar, and I'll add the property, and we'll do float. Oops, don't want that. If you add something you don't want, just click on this little trash can here, and eventually it'll go away. If that doesn't work, I'll show you another way to do it. So let's click on properties, and we'll try float again. I'll just click on it here, and we want float right. All right, so I'm going to go into the museum styles, and I'm going to get rid of wherever the flex is, which apparently did not take because we didn't set a value to it. So let's go into live, and you can see how messed up it is here in code view, in design view. So let's go into live where all these things take place, and you can see that it makes a big difference over here. So this way it's formatted. Going to save everything. And we're going to do the same thing for the footer. Only I about had it with the typing it in. So I'm just going to go down here. If you don't know where floats are, you can start dragging down. And here's float. So we're going to do float left for the footer. Boom. That takes care of that. I have posted a video for the CSS box model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video right now. It's a little over 17 minutes. I will address the box model. Take a look at the video that I have posted strictly on the box model, and let me know if you have any questions. Looking forward to seeing you again.